Lies of Civilization. Leontuzzo forgot what happened that day. He was still too young at the time. He knows only two things for certain. That day was not the day his mother died. That day was the only time he ever saw his father look somewhat lost. He walked through the rainy streets and saw his father sitting outside on the church without an umbrella. He tried to run over to hold up his umbrella for his father, but slipped and fell. His father picked him up. The rain was heavier than usual that day. He could not see his father's expression, but was still acutely aware of his father's chagrin. He still remembers the question his father asked him at that time. Would Syracuse be better off without the families? Leon! Leon! Wake up! Dimitri. Why are you lying on the ground here? Where's the Don? Were you attacked? No. Father, he... Right. My father. Where is he? Nobody knows where the Don is. And just now, Rubio broke the news about our alliance with the Saluzos over the radio. He also slandered us, accusing us of joining together against Signora Cecilia. Now all the families are looking right at us. Would Syracuse be better off without the families? That's not exactly slander, is it? Leon? I know what my father wants to do. Who would have thought this Rubio guy was actually a complete idiot? What are you talking about? He's clearly a good man. No. What I mean is, what's the point of him even saying stuff like that? He finally managed to climb up to that position. And now he's gonna die over a few sentences. What a waste of a perfectly good life. Are you crying? No, I'm not. Want a tissue? Thanks. Who are you? Employees only. I am the boss of Family Bologna. But you can just call me Bernardo. Huh? The Don of Family Bernardo? Bologna? What brings an honored Dodici Don here? If memory serves me properly, this place is supposed to split off and become the secondary command tower of the new nomadic city's core. That's right. Then there's one thing I'd like to ask of you. What are you doing? Begin the separation sequence for the secondary core area. Possible. But that does explain everything. What my father told you, what we were planning to ignite an all-out war between all the families, to flush Signora Cecilia out. It was a feint. From the very beginning, Family Bologna has just been a bargaining chip for him. Everything you see now was his design. Everything was for the sake of a Syracuse without families. You seriously expect me to believe that the Don, the most powerful family in this country, is trying to destroy all the families? You have no choice but to believe, Dimitri. You just said all the families are looking at us, right? Yes, but even if they believed Rubio, nobody would dare do anything rash so soon. But it's just a matter of time. The fuse has already been lit. Would Syracuse be better off without the families? Padre mio, this is what you've believed all this time. That's why you had Dimitri test me in the first place. But what do you want me to do? What can I even do? Leon. Huh? You said before that you'd handle things your way, Leon. I did. Then, you should focus up. Whatever the situation is, at this critical moment, the Don is not here. You are now the boss of the family. We have to do something. I know. Go and tell the Saluzos that I want to meet with Alberto. Then get in touch with the Rosati man. Warlock. You mean... I see. What is it I hope to do? By building goodwill through Karasi's legacy, you got the people to believe that you really chose to draw out a fire purely out of a desire to avenge it. It wasn't until the end that you finally revealed a sliver of your real face. Your self-control is admirable, Rubio. Unfortunately, I knew a long time ago that you and Karasi were on the same path. Neither of you were willing to accept the yoke of family's rule forever. Only, he stepped onto the stage like a moth to a flame, while you concealed yourself a bit better. After all, I was in charge of the liquidation 30 years ago. I remembered him. And naturally, I remembered you as well. It came as a surprise to me that you chose to make your move now. But that brings with it opportunity. Is the separation sequence still not complete? It'll be done shortly. I hope you know that stalling for time and playing petty tricks won't accomplish anything. The lives of all my colleagues are in your hands. I'm not kidding. I don't want anything to do with the conflicts between your big families. I just hope you keep your promise. You say that, but the look in your eyes and the beating of your heart tells me you're ready to die with me. Relax. I just want to ask you a question. Have you ever thought about what a Syracuse without families would look like? Dan Brown stares blankly at the scene unfolding in front of his eyes. He has slain many people and has seen his fair share of corpses. He became numb to the sight of blood a long time ago. But this is something altogether different. Dan Brown, why are you still here? The Don wants to meet the Balone and Rosati's bosses, so hurry up and do what you need to do. What is the Don doing? Are you deaf, Dan Brown? The Don is about to meet the Balones and told us to prepare. Prepare what? You don't get it? The Don sincerely wanted to cooperate with the Balones, and that broadcast just now was them trying to drag us underwater. How could the Don let that go unpunished? The Balones were the first to sully our honor, so it's not our fault if we're a little discourteous with them. The Don's meaning is obvious. Follow his orders at the meeting. Family Balone is about to be wiped from Syracuse. Are they chasing money and power instead of violence and conflict? Killing me today just a cathartic release of this violence? Or is it because I got in the way of the people behind you taking power? Dan Brown suddenly understands why he hasn't been able to sleep at night. Texas knows why she has been hesitating. She doesn't like to think, and that means when she encounters a situation in which she is forced to think, she plans everything to the letter in advance. She anticipated this well before she ever set out on her trip to Syracuse. She knew she would have to fight, but she believes that what she did in Lungmen was not fundamentally different from what she had done in Columbia or Syracuse. She does not believe that her life in Lungmen is righteous, just as she does not believe that her life in Syracuse or Columbia was evil. She has always dealt in the logistics of life and death. She knew she would one day have to face the land of Syracuse. But she had already made up her mind, just as she had once asked her grandfather this question. Isn't Syracuse morality just trampling on the lives of the people all the same? She even anticipated meeting up with old acquaintances like Giovanna. She really did anticipate all of this. And that's why she has been tossing and turning sleeplessly for several nights. The one thing she did not expect was that she would meet people here who wanted to change the place, Leontuzzo. Even though he is the heir to a family, his way of thinking is progressive. His ideas may still be immature, but they are never violent. Lavinia, a puppet of Signora Cecilia's will, but a judge who nevertheless wants the law to apply equally. Carassi, even though she never met him, she learned from many sources that he served the people as Ministro dei Lavori Pubblici. And finally, she used to feel that there would never be an end to all this. That she was powerless to change Syracuse. That everything was too deeply entrenched. So she chose to run. However, after returning this time, she's met people who wanted to make this land a better place. And they were hurt, one after another. Would she still choose to run? I found her. Selinia's over here. She has been hesitating because her desire to return to Lungmen is real. But at the same time, her anger towards the plight of those people is just as real. And right before her eyes, a good man with good intentions is forced by this country to cry out at the cost of his life. That is when Texas realizes, never in her life she felt so outraged. Whoa, what's with the crowd? Looks like some of them are starting to charge. Don't blame me for this, Texas. I've already done what I could. Why would I blame you? Hey, partner. You get a good rest? Good enough. You look pretty mad. So you can tell? Of course. Just like how you can guess what I want to eat from my mood. We've been partners for so many years. Exia? A good man just died. I heard. There's something I want to do for him. I was thinking the same thing. Do my ears deceive me, Texas? You're planning on staying, aren't you? Lapland. Thank you for doing your best to help me get back to Lungmen. But I've already made up my mind. There are a few people out there who don't deserve to die like that. They need help. They deserve it. Can you actually do anything about that? Is this a little fairy tale enough to make you choose a different path? This little fairy tale is more than enough to make me choose a different path. Some things aren't that complicated at all, Lapland. You, on the other hand, how long are you going to stay on a leash? What? Are you lecturing me now? Take it as a little advice from someone who's been there. Exia, I'm going to break the encirclement. Back me up. You got it. Texas, you're always full of surprises. The sounds of footsteps and screams gradually dissipate with Texas and Exia's departure, and the alley falls silent again. Only the hollow laughter of the lone white wolf continues to reverberate, until she too stops laughing. She turns her gaze in a certain direction. Not the one Texas left, but rather where her family Saluzzo resides. Father, he... Feel any better? Yes, Your Honor. Why would my father do something like that? I wish he would have kept doing what he did before. If only he just kept on being an ordinary secretario. You might not understand this yet, but your father was a great man. I'll send people to keep you safe. Stay inside and don't wander out. Alright? I can feel it. After what my father has done, the whole city is going to turn upside down. You should hide here with me. Thank you. But I have work to do. Lavinia walks out of the room. The peal of that gunshot resounds through Volsini. Even the dark clouds part for a few minutes as if spooked, letting a few strands of sunlight filter through for the first time in ages. Her agreement with Bernardo was once her only goal, to the point that when she found out Bernardo had broken his promise, she didn't know what to do with herself. But now, she knows, because she's been told she does not stand alone. And the ones who told her made a sacrifice 100 times more heroic than her struggles. Compared to them, she might actually be the lucky one. She does not plan to stand by and rely on this luck. Ministro Rubio, your sacrifice will not be in vain. She strokes the codex in her hands, a few names from Rubio's diary still lingering in her head. She has either seen them before or heard of them. This is the most bountiful legacy that Rubio has left behind for her. Moreover, who is it? Penguin Logistics. Need something delivered? Don Alberto, I came because I heard Bologna wanted to speak with me. But what? Does Bernardo not even dare to show his face? My father made his own decision. Just trust that I can speak on behalf of Family Bologna. Oh? You mean to tell me that you have a satisfactory explanation for all this? Or are you confident enough to deal with the fallout? What I wanted to say is, Dan Brown, I didn't call for you to come out yet. No. The time is now, old man. Dan Brown points the weapon in his hand at Alberto. Dan Brown, I'm afraid you're pointing a knife at the wrong target. I don't make mistakes. Look what the family bosses have become. You all sit high and mighty above the rest of us, talking all fancy about your politics, trends, country, and future. But what's the reality? The only thing you give a damn about is your own business. We took the times with violence, old man. Why not take a little pride in it? The times have changed, Dan Brown. Why don't you understand this? We're shaping the times as we want. I don't understand it. I just see us turning weak and stupid. We don't take pride in our instincts, and we don't use peace to fight for peace. If we keep this up, what will we become? We won't become anything. No. We're not a pack of wolves anymore. We're monsters hiding in human skin. And our leaders? You. And you. You aren't more civilized. You're just more hypocritical. Looks like I should have kept you on a tighter leash, Dan Brown. This isn't your podium. Nobody could have caught what happens next. In the blink of an eye, Alberto appears behind Dan Brown. A streak of blood appears across the car wash worker's throat. He grips his neck, his eyes wide, unable to make a sound. Then, he slowly slumps to the ground, maintaining this posture. He will never speak again. Now that this matter has been resolved, I won't beat around the bush, Leontuzzo. Your father convinced me to agree to combine our family's forces to take down Signora Cecilia. But I don't see sincerity in anything you've done. The people know that I, Don Alberto, never place a bet lightly. What they don't know is that once I do, I never stop until I win. Leontuzzo, submit to family Saluzzo, or die here and now. You have 10 seconds. Alberto takes out an antiquated pocket watch from his waist and begins counting down Leontuzzo's fate 10. You've always got the option of violence, but you refrain from using it because of your upbringing and self-control. I'd even like to thank you for your kindness. That's not what I meant. And I'm not blaming you either, Leon. For you to even consider why the rain hasn't stopped is already exceptionally rare to see. 9. You've subconsciously lumped yourself in with Lavinia and Karase, but don't ever forget, you are not one of them. I know. If you really knew, you wouldn't be standing here. 8. Leontuzzo thought he understood what they were trying to say. He could never truly be Lavinia's ally. He would always be his father's son. This is the life he was born into. Something he cannot change. And in spite of that, he's always believed he has done his best. Is his best not good enough? But 7. You aren't more civilized. You're just more hypocritical. This is the moment when he finally awakens. It isn't a question of good enough. He has been wrong from the very beginning. 6. We aren't more civilized. We're just more hypocritical. We aren't more civilized. We're just more hypocritical. 5. That's right. Why is he sitting here? Why did he still think he could resolve this like the families do? He knew the answer all along. But he chose to ignore this answer for the longest time. Because of who he is and where he came from. 4. Everything he's done before was just violence wrapped up in pretense. And civility can never be born from violence. 3. You're running short on time, Leontuzzo. I choose. What just happened? Boss, the secondary core area. Someone started the separation program. What did you say? So this is your last resort, father. Then I'll... Too naive. You're pretty fast for your age. A Rosati? Leon, I'm here. You go on ahead. I'll handle this. All right. I see. So this is Ballone's trump card. What? Are you sure you really want to make an enemy of me? Don Alberto. And of the Saluzos? You expect me to believe you were ever really going to be our friend? Shared interests could have been the bond connecting us, pup. But there's something to your useful delusions. Thinking you can actually turn things upside down. You old fossils always think you can control everything. But you never stop to consider whether the times have left you behind. Come then, pups. Let me try your hand. Leontuzzo knows that as the dawn of the family, he should return home and navigate his people through these turbulent times to maximize their profit. But as a man who thinks he understands Lavinia's ideals, a man who saw the way Karasi conducted himself, and as a man who has always been lost, he's never been clear about what he should do next. He can't lie to himself anymore. I'm sorry, Dimitri. He does not walk the paths of his family. He knows where his father is. I did what I had to do. It won't be long before it reaches Zaru. The time has come. Agnesis Fang, Luna Cub. You've kept me waiting. You're never alone, and I'm not good at taking a lot of opponents at once. I don't make a wise target. Agnes told me that of the remaining fangs, you are the one who most deserves to die. You've toyed around with the thing you called power, trying to use that garbage to win this. Quite the profound insight from La Signora del Lupi. Do you know where the remaining fangs are? No. One now lives at a company called Rhodes Island. She returned to Syracuse not too long ago. Another, knowing that there was no hope for victory, went into hiding and cultivated a student early. These two wandering wolves have now returned to Syracuse. Another is still hiding in the wastes, and as long as I remain here, I can track their movements. With a little more power, I could exercise my will to find them, and have my men eliminate them. This is what Zaru discovered. The might of power. Does that count as victory? It's what he believes. How strange. The strange one is you, Fang of Agnes. You didn't come here to kill me, did you? I was just a little curious. You don't seem to be an evil man, or one who wields power as you claimed. What do you see when you look at me then? A beast who went looking for a place to die, now laying peacefully in it. Are those wise guys gone yet? They're gone, right? Thank goodness. I thought they were going to start fighting. But what are we going to do with this body? I don't want to touch it. Still, I can't help but feel a bit bad for this guy. I'll handle it. Who are you? Just a friend of this nameless man. You've discovered something important, my friend. Violence is done in the name of civility. That is the true nature of the families. And we must come to terms with what we call civility. Even if it's another pretense. Even if it's just a form of self-restraint. Even if it's only just a stone's throw from our basest instincts. An earnest desire for civility will always be different from using it to whitewash your sins. Neither this country nor this city will remember you. But I will remember you, Dan Brown, the car wash worker. Together with Rubio, two of you have proven the lie that families can change and adapt. Ugh. We ended up letting him go. He stopped wanting to fight us halfway through. You felt it too, didn't you? If he really wanted to kill us, he could have gotten it done. He just didn't want to take the time. We can't underestimate any of the Syracusan families. You got one thing wrong. I've never underestimated any of them. Every family is my enemy. Including the Bolognes. Don't you think you're jumping the gun a bit there? You don't seem surprised. You betrayed your own boss. You expect me to believe you'd really go in with us? But let me point out, now isn't a good time. Dimitri does not waver in the face of Warlock's sharpened blade, instead turning his back to his soldiers. What's going on in the city? Nothing good. The families know the secondary core separation sequence started. We're all pretty mad at us in the Saluzos. Wise guys from the other families are hitting us now too. What about the thing I asked you to handle? You were right on the money. The eyes and ears we planted in the other families tell us even the people are angry at the Bolognes and Saluzos. We aren't their main deal here. All the chaos is down there. Is exactly what all the families were looking for. Everything Signora Cecilia kept down is bubbling right up to the surface now. There's already fighting over how to divvy up Bologna and Saluzzo's assets. And we've got some old grudges out there getting settled. Everyone's hopping in, directly or indirectly. It's exactly what you wanted, huh, boss? So, you betrayed us after all. Warlock, you're not an idiot. You get that there's no point in us fighting right now. Isn't it better to solve the big problems first? Is this how the Rosatis handled everything back in Colombia? You really think you can swallow up Syracuse all on your own? Pick your friends wisely, Warlock. Don't feel too bad. Not like I'm jumping for joy to team up with somebody like you. Where's Leon? What? He didn't go back home? Nope. No trace of him anywhere. He's avoiding us, obviously. Leon, don't tell me. Dimitri takes a deep breath. There's no point in overthinking things now. He has to face reality. Now that the families are starting to bite one another, this is the best chance we'll have to take secondary core area. If we're gonna have a future, we'll have to take hold of it first. Don Alberto, what's the situation? It's mayhem out there. Wise guys from multiple families are taking advantage of the confusion to attack us, and our soldiers have started to fight back. Things have spiraled out of control. It's funny. This can't possibly be what the Leontuzzo kid meant. Now that I think about it. Bernardo, even though Lapland showed up on a whim, you included us in your calculations, didn't you? The ironclad law laid down by Sicilia is crumbling. You set fire to everything that took decades to make Syracuse what she is. This is what you wanted? Why? Where's Lapland? We haven't been able to reach her since yesterday morning. Forget it. Boss, it's a madhouse out there now. You want us to wait and see if anything changes? Even if I wanted to keep family Saluzzo out of this, it's no longer possible. Bernardo, that old runt, can't believe he even accounted for all this. Tell our people out there to come back. Then, send some of our heavies to the command tower in the secondary core area. Ballones and Rosatis aren't going to let it go. My bad. I muted to drink and I skipped the line. Well, I read it, but y'all didn't hear it. You mean, I have no interest in that new city, but I'm not about to let it fall into the hands of those who've betrayed me either. Padre, Leon, I never expected you to find this place. I happen to recall it from memory. Since you're here, come take a seat. I know what you're trying to do here. Do you? Since the very beginning, you wanted to see Syracuse to return to the dark times of 6 years ago. You want the families all tearing into each other. If Signora Cecilia didn't step in, Syracuse's families may well have mortally wounded each other. But this time, you want them to break free of Signora Cecilia's chains and to fight each other until nothing is left. Oh. So you understand after all. You didn't come here to confirm your conjecture with me, did you? What I want to know is, what exactly made you think this way? When I was 20 years old, I was just an ordinary Bologna wiseman. They wanted me to rub somebody out. I couldn't pull it off, so I had to flee into a nearby village. I took a new identity and went into hiding. I lived there for almost 6 months. Nothing particularly notable happened during that time, but those 6 months gave me an entirely new perspective on the country I lived in. There is no corner of Siracusa completely free from the influence of the families, but in places like the villages outside the city, the families are just your run-of-the-mill thuggish bullies. I found a job as a cobbler, and for that summer, I plied my trade by the side of the road and watched them go about their business. In the end, nothing they did impressed me at all. But I will never forget that summer when sweat flowed down from my brow like rain. Leon, whether it's you, me, or any other wise guy, we've all been branded from birth. But it was during that summer that I realized life in Syracuse will continue, even with no families. So that's why you helped Lavinia and didn't mind that the two of us were growing closer. You genuinely wanted to support her cause, don't you? In all honesty, I did want to see the kind of justice she envisions. Which is why you didn't have insurance for this plan. You don't need me, Lavinia, or anyone else assuming any of the risk. You think that when you tear down the families holding down the people, their lives won't be negatively impacted at all? Absolutely. But that doesn't go far enough, Padre mio. It doesn't? No. It's far from enough. Letting the families tear into each other until they've worn themselves out may overturn the existing system. But that isn't enough to get Syracuse back into the hands of the people. Are you worried about Signora Cecilia? No. What I'm worried about is inertia. I came to realize something while working as Karasi's assistant. The families have had their roots here for thousands of years. Even if the people reject the families, they have no idea what shape Syracuse might take. Even after they overthrow the old system, they will manage to build something new? I don't think so. The people will be overwhelmed, not knowing what happened. All they'll know is that their house suddenly collapsed. And when they go to build on top of those ruins, they'll build what amounts to a family. Nothing will change at all. If we continue down this path, we may bring about a Syracuse without families for a bit. But the Syracuse you're dreaming of will never come. You're dreaming too big, Padre mio. You want to give them your Syracuse, but you never stop to think if they're willing and able to accept it. All we can do is let everyone out there know what's happening and involve them in the process. That's the only way we can start the conversation on a Syracuse without the families. Looks like my son's all grown up. I thought you came in here for a good old-fashioned father-son argument. I didn't expect you to teach me something. Padre mio. So what are you going to do? I'll go find Lavinia, organize a coalition of non-family forces, and seize control of the secondary corps' command tower. As long as the new city is under my control, I'll have the advantage. As for whether I'll be able to negotiate with Signora Cecilia, or if I'll have to confront her directly, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But no matter what happens, we'll be betraying Dimitri and our whole family. Do it your way then, Leon. You were the one who started this whole mess. Don't even think about sitting on the sidelines and leaving everything to me. Don't worry. I'll catch up with you. Good. Don Agner, I hear you never set foot in church. Syracuse doesn't need churches. If we accept the teachings of Laterano, we're doomed to be influenced by their culture. In the end, All I can do is choose to distance myself. But it's worth making exception for a man like you. Your Honor, everyone's all here. I've counted over 50. A lot less than before. The people planted in here by the families have all gone back home, haven't they? That's right. Ironic as they may be, it does save me some effort. Listen up. The courts occupy an awkward position in Siracusa. We represent the will of Signora Cecilia to some extent. In return, gain a certain amount of power. But this power is not enough for us to fulfill our obligations. Quite the contrary. In many cases, the power we hold only makes us more aware of how powerless we are in the face of the entities known as the families. We can neither lower our heads and accept it as most ordinary people can, nor can we truly integrate into these families. Throughout this process, many of our colleagues have been ostracized, pushed out, or even killed because they cannot bear the situation any longer. In fact, even if they ended up betraying the law, I would not be in a position to blame them. The truth is, I'm only where I am today because of my connection to family below. You all know what happened and what's happening out there. At first I assumed all I could do was what I always did before. Pray that the family's struggles don't shoot through too many common folk, and that Signora Cecilia would come to met out justice for us in the end. However, a brave man told us that he thinks the family system is evil, and that all of this is unjust. He wanted to change everything, and so he pinned all his hopes on me. All of you, just like me, come from outside the family system. You've all worked with me for so many years, and I believe that among you, there are those who harbor even greater grievances than the families, against the families than I, and those who understand the status quo more deeply than I. Therefore, I would like to ask all of you to help me. A moment of silence passes. What can we even do? The separation sequence of the new city's core area started not long ago. This confirms the conspiracy conjured by the Ballones and Saluzos, as revealed by Ministro Rubio. For the families, this was the spark that ignited a new conflict. And for us, it is an opportunity. The new nomadic city will be our bargaining chip amidst the chaos. Whether negotiating with Signora Cecilia or jockeying with power was the families. Another moment of silence passes. Even with all of us together, we don't have enough people. I have 2 reliable friends. Hello, everyone. Selenia? Why are you... And how come I never heard of another Sancta in Volsini? All you need to know that is Selenia and her friend are on our side. Also, Ministro Rubio left some resources to help me, and I managed to get in touch with them. They will assist us. But I must be honest with you all. This is a perilous road, and I cannot guarantee that everyone will survive. Those who do not want to put their lives on the line are free to leave. Even if we succeed, will it really accomplish anything? I can't promise you it will. The only thing I can promise is that I'm willing to give my life for this. Only 30 some odd people remain, but they have no intention of leaving. I should be thanking you for giving me this opportunity, Your Honor. I would have gone crazy without you here at the courthouse. I heard the radio broadcast. I knew right away what happened. And honestly, I can't take this anymore. Maybe we won't actually be able to do anything in the end. But I at least want those wise guys to know that we're not lumps of fin meat for them to butcher. Thank you. All of you. Signora Lavinia, ready on our end. So soon? The families are all stirred up now. They don't usually give the common folk a second look. Even now, they probably don't think we can get in their way at all. But we have to let them know that they've never really had a hand in running the city. This town belongs to us. Take your people and go to the control tower. We'll use everything at our disposal to hold back the wise guys as best we can. Thank you. Do your best. We're the ones who should be thanking you. We never took the families head on, and now we're leaving the most dangerous work to you. I'm ready and willing. In bocca al lupo. Crepi. You used Karasi as bait, got your own son involved, and even tricked your own associates under the righteous pretense of handling Sicilia, all to muddy the waters of this city. You didn't even waver in the face of Saluzzo's lone wolf. Instead, you took that opportunity to drag Saluzzo into the mud with you. The high-profile assassination of the Rosati girl was, on one hand, to convince Alberto that he had an ally in you, while on the other hand, serving as an example to the other families. You've made full use of Texas as your final card. In Giovanna's hands, the Rosatis were a deadly but hidden saber. And in Wallach's hands, they are a savage and ostentatious knife. You saw Rubio's connection with Carassi, and even took advantage of his anger. He thought no one knew of his self-restraint. He never expected that you had already uncovered him. I knew you'd be in town, but I didn't expect you to see through all my plans so easily. It is always easier to trace back the steps in retrospect. And your plan has already been set in motion. Even if I were able to deduce all this, there is nothing more I can do. Even if Cecilia were to pop up right here, right now, even she would be hard-pressed to resolve everything. Who would have imagined that the dawn of the most powerful family would use his own people as bait to bring all the others down with him? You don't seem particularly upset about it. Cecilia never asked me for Siracusa that would flourish forever. And I was never after wealth or power. What you've done undoubtedly breaks the rules that Cecilia established, and so I really did come to end you. But your father-son talk there surprised me. Oh? Cecilia has never tolerated any disruptions to her order, because no one came with an answer that could satisfy her. But you, Bernardo, have an excellent son. You won't be able to shake apart the society Cecilia built with her own two hands. Not by yourself. But if your son came along with you, then maybe it wouldn't be completely impossible. Life is full of surprises. I thought I realized my lifelong dream and could die happy today. Who knew that I'd change my mind and that I'd want to live to see what Leon could do? It's too bad. For a moment, Aegner casts his gaze in the direction of Grey Hall. Something inhumane is approaching. I see. I've heard of this. Is it also part of your plan? It's something that has to be done. That's all. Please go, Don Aegner. This is the price I have to pay. So be it. Just a moment, Reverend. Don Aegner. Or rather, Padre. I've never prayed to anyone in my entire life, and I don't think I'll find closure with anyone else. The Lord can't answer me. Right here. I do have some questions only you can answer. By all means. How did Signora Cecilia feel when she came back from Laterano? conflicted. She was distressed about the challenges she was to face. She was looking forward to the society she was about to create. More or less the same as you're feeling right now. Alright, okay. I know. You be careful too. How are Texas and Exio doing? They with Slavinia right now. Said they were doing her a favor. The judge lady, huh? Seems she's a bit more put together than the Blown family fellers from before. Hope nothing bad happens to him. Yeah. Miss Giovanna, you're awake? I'm not dead? The assassin missed your heart by a couple centimeters. And you pulled through. I gotta say though, it's a good thing you're in such excellent shape. Otherwise you probably wouldn't have made it. Alak. How long was I unconscious for? A day. I'm guessing a lot has happened over the course of that day. Tell me what's going on. Alright. You're finally here, Dawn. Or should I say, Zaru. Bernardo. What are you scheming? Don't play dumb. I can tell you're in denial about the conclusions you've drawn. You dare. Why wouldn't I dare? You pushed me into a lifetime of power and betrayal. You're so prideful and arrogant. You never imagined that one day I could betray you too. Don't forget, Bernardo. I'm the one who made you everything you are. A pitch black mist wraps around Bernardo's neck, but he pays it no heed. You still don't get it, Zaru. The game you, Signori de Lupi, are playing means nothing to me. Siracusa is the absolute limit of your imagination. You think that ultimate power is to control a country, multiple countries, or even to subjugate all the lands. But I don't think so. Real power is the power to command an entire epoch. In my original plan, Siracusa would follow along with me. Now my son has shown me that he sees a bigger picture. You should take comfort in that. Now, take that comfort back to your mountain forest. In this round of the game, you have lost. I lost. I still have countless ways to. Il Signor de Lupi has many ways to control his fangs. However, Zaru immediately noticed a trail of blood running from the corner of Bernardo's mouth. Poison! You were planning this from the very beginning, weren't you, Bernardo? Bernardo does not answer. He has already lost the strength to speak. He simply lifts his head and looks at the wide open doors of the church. His gaze passes over flower beds, tall buildings, and dark clouds, until it finally passes through time itself. He sees the summer of that year, when he was, as a cobbler, was sweating profusely beneath the scorching sun. But he felt an unprecedented fulfillment from it. That feeling would haunt him for the rest of his life. He slowly closes his eyes, like a true king. Imbecile. You imbecile! The giant wolf's roar reverberates through the church, but no one is there to answer him. After a while, he turns his gaze to the direction Leontuzzo left. He does not accept such a failure. Absolutely not. The streets of Volsini are either packed with fighting families or completely empty. Not a soul notices an old woman walking slowly over the city gate. And not far away, a blindfolded Sancta quietly awaits her arrival. You can already see the buildings of the new city from here. That's right. Spectacular, isn't it? Huh. If you ask me, the edges and corners are a bit too sharp for my liking. That just means your tastes are behind the times, Cecilia. Could yours be any better? So, have you made up your mind? Not yet. Let's send out warnings to the noisiest families. As Signora Cecilia's voice falls, a few black shadows spring out not too far behind her. They quickly disappear into the buildings of Volsini. Then, I'd like to see an old friend. Is my opinion alone not sufficient? It's always better to get a second opinion. And a third. So you are here? Aigner told you that, didn't he? Sure enough. I love the food here. It's great stuff. Been a while, Ben. It certainly has, Cecilia. What brings you here, I wonder? Any guesses? If you just wanted to get the city back under control, you probably wouldn't come to me. Bernardo understood the wolf pack, and his plans ultimately boiled down to 4 words. Don't rock the boat. He's gotten the Dodici families all bloodthirsty, and that bloodlust doesn't quench easily. But it's not too hard either. But I heard some other things from Aigner, and would like a little input from an old friend. I don't have anything in particular to say. This is a legitimate dining establishment, and it needs a new head chef. That's about it. I thought you'd have some feelings about the current state of Siracusa. Nostalgia is also a feeling. You're fickle, aren't you? Do you really need my opinion? Not really. But I am interested in hearing the thoughts of a man born to civilization who's removed himself from it. In every era, people are bound by the chains of the times into which they were born. You don't escape from that. Bernardo's ideals were an obsession born from your era. He was stuck, was using violence to tear it down. He couldn't get past that. What about his son? Who can say? It's not like I can predict the future. But you see it too, don't you? We're watching the birth of a new era here.